Today, this is Ellie. You're from
California.
California, the US. Okay. So today, actually, I heard a sad story from her about her sister, and I think that story is really shocking. And I think that it's better to let her to tell the sad story again. It's sorry to give you the second trauma.
It's okay. It's been a long time. Well, Tox and I were talking because I shared with him that my sister died from HIV/AIDS. It was very shocking for her, for our whole family. She was an extremely healthy woman, very fit, very active. In fact, almost too much, because she hadn't been to see a doctor in about 10 years because she just never needed to. And
so it basically means like during the 10 years, she got no symptoms.
No symptoms of anything. Nothing. Yeah, nothing at all. She had no reason to believe that there was anything wrong. And in October of 2003, just before Halloween, she got really sick. She thought maybe she had bronchitis or a really bad cold. She just knew she was coughing a lot and didn't feel well. So she went to the doctor. They gave her some medicine. They said, go home, rest, get a lot of fluids, take this medicine, and let us know if you... So she went home and did what the doctor said. And a couple of weeks went by, and she wasn't getting better. So the week of Thanksgiving, she went back to the hospital, and they ran all the tests, and they discovered that she not only was HIV positive, but that she had full-blown AIDS. At that point, she had 6 T cells left in her body. Most of us, like healthy people, have a couple of hundred.
Yeah, but she only got 6.
She had 6.
Oh,
6 left.
That's very low.
Yeah, so
they have a specific term. It calls like CD4, I think.
Oh, so they said you have 6 T cells, you have full-blown AIDS, you have a very short time to live. She was obviously shocked because, for your audience and anyone else who's wondering, she didn't have multiple sex partners. She wasn't a drug user, sharing needles. She hadn't had any blood transfusions. There was nothing like that. So she was just in so much shock that this could be true for a healthy woman who was 41 at that time. This is my much older sister. So the cool thing, it's weird to say that in this sentence, but the cool thing is that even at that time, they were able to do a test to determine when she actually contracted HIV.
Yes, they can do that.
And they could determine the 6-month window where she contracted HIV. And she realized that it was during that 6 months that she was with an ex. In her late 20s, she met this guy who was about 15 or 16 years older than her. They fell in love. They got engaged. Once they were engaged, they started having unprotected sex. And apparently, he was HIV positive. He knew he was HIV positive. And he had unprotected sex with her anyway and never told her.
Whoa.
So they broke up for other reasons. It just wasn't right. They broke up. She actually got back together with her high school boyfriend, who we all call Surfer Dave, and then lived with HIV for 10 years without knowing.
But did she transmit to her?
That was all of our question as well, and miraculously, no. It's much more transmittable coming from a man to a woman than it is from a woman to a man. So
that's a real case proof to show like women are more vulnerable to get HIV virus.
Yeah, he was checked at that time and has actually been checked. Well, for the first 10 years, he was checked every 6 months. And after the first 10 years, he's checked once a year now.
Okay.
To make
so
sure.
he's still checking it?
Yes, once a year. This was the week of Thanksgiving. They hadn't even really given her a real specific diagnosis as to how many months or how long or anything like that. It was more about treating, the symptoms that she had at that point. She was really sick. She was really, really sick. She was very
so it's like all of a sudden, like she becomes very sick.
And over a matter of weeks. It was from Halloween to Thanksgiving. All of this developed. So here we were the week of Thanksgiving, and it was actually the night before Thanksgiving. Her lungs started to rapidly deteriorate, and they made the decision that they were going to need to do something more aggressive to help her lungs, so that she could continue breathing. They tried some different things that didn't work. So the night after Thanksgiving, they decided to intubate her so that they could take the medication and put it directly into her lungs. And when they did that, she had an allergic reaction to that drug. And it sent her into cardiac arrest. She had 3 cardiac arrests that night and died the day after Thanksgiving.
Wow, that's so sad. Did you guys talk to her ex?
I didn't. However, I was the first one that got there, so I was dealing with like writing her obituary and going through her things and choosing her clothing and all of that. My 2 brothers, yes, went to speak with this guy. We were all very nervous because I thought my brother was going to kill him for real, because he literally just murdered our sister.
Yeah.
Especially with all of the drugs.
If he knew that, and then he still did this, that
he was on the medication, the cocktail at the time that HIV patients were using, and he kept.
But
that
the
from
thing
her.
is that if he was on the cocktail, it means like the virus is already controlled or something, but it's still transmittable. Maybe
it's still transmittable.
But maybe at that time.
At that time, I mean, this is 2003. There's a lot that's changed since then.
Yeah,
medical advancements.
Technology, everything.
Yeah. But yeah, my 2 brothers went to speak with him. They told him how sick she was, and he actually admitted to this. He broke down. It was, it's ridiculous because it doesn't justify anything, but he said to them, I just loved her so much and I didn't want to lose her, and that's why I didn't tell her that I was HIV
It's better
positive.
he admitted, otherwise he's gonna get his life jeopardized by your brother.
Maybe.
Yeah.
If my brother wasn't an attorney, I think that things would have been different. But he actually did admit it, and he killed her. He killed her. He kept that from her, because even had he told her, then she would have had a choice. She could have gotten on the medication. She lived with it for 10 years without having any idea.
I think because maybe he was confident to think that his virus is already under control with the cocktail therapy.
I don't think that's what he thought. I mean, based off of the conversation that they had and that my brothers relayed to us, he was just ignorant.
Okay.
He was ignorant and he was selfish.
Okay.
He was very, very, very selfish.
I met a lot of people who got HIV and in my life, because part of my business I sell the HIV testers, and some people they look so healthy, and sometimes we think that HIV positive people, they are skinny or some stuff. But it's totally wrong. This is like old stereotype or something.
It's a stereotype until the end of the disease.
Yeah.
At the end, it is what we see in movies.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very thin, and we lose all of the we
muscle
become very gaunt. We lose the muscle and the fat in our
Yeah.
tissue, and some people have lesions and things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, but up until the end, you look very healthy. My sister was one of the healthiest people that I knew. She's an athlete, very active. She was kayaking with her adorable dog Duke every weekend in the Florida Keys, and she had no idea anything was wrong until everything was wrong. And that's why one of the things this made such an impression on me too as a kid, because as a young adult, I guess.
That was how old you were that time?
I was 24. I think
24.
I was 24.
Well, that was too early. I mean, too shocking. I mean, for your age at that time.
Yeah, very shocking. And what it also taught me, one of the lessons that I took away from that too, is that even if you don't think that you're sick, if you don't know for sure that there is something going on in your body, a disease, an infection, that preventive care is really important. She was so healthy, she wasn't even going in for a yearly exam, which she should have been doing.
But the yearly exam doesn't take HIV test. This is so far what I know.
Well, for a female exam, they do a pelvic exam, they always do a pap smear, and if you're sexually active, they should also be checking for STDs as well.
Okay.
Like through a blood test.
It depends on the exams.
Yeah.
Right,
But I think it was a combination. One, she was super healthy. 2, she was in
Too confident.
Well, not so much the confidence, it's that she was in a monogamous relationship. She was back with her high school boyfriend and she was with him for years. So she just never felt like she needed to go do that. And that's why this was so shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she, we asked the doctors, of course, had she not had this allergic reaction to the medication that they intubated her with, how long really would she have lived? And doctors, they're really reticent to give you information like that because it's not a sure thing.
Yeah.
But from what we could ascertain, at that point, she might have had a month or 2.
Do you think that this thing influenced you a lot? I mean, about your way of dating guys or having sex with guys?
1,000,000%. Yeah, I mean, I was in my early 20s at this point, and I would say I was already pretty aware of having safe sex and being smart about things like that. But it sent that through the roof. I mean, I knew that in that moment I would never ever be having sex with someone that was unprotected.
And then whenever you have sex with a guy, probably you're gonna think about that, right?
Yeah,
it's like a trauma.
I do. I mean, I've dealt with it, and it's been a lot of years now. But the safety precautions that I take will never change. And I enjoy sex.
Everyone does.
Not everyone, but
Okay, that's another topic.
But yeah, I enjoy sex. I think it's fun. I think it can be I love exploring sex and everything that entails. But my health and the health of my partner even too is more important. So I have my regular exams every year as a female, but I also regularly check for STDs. I don't ever have unprotected sex ever. And in fact, if I'm really going to be in a relationship with someone, if we're monogamous, then we both take tests together, and then we can just fully enjoy each other.
Yeah. But sometimes if you're just like without condom, you also can get herpes.
You can get a lot of things that will be with you forever.
Yeah.
You can get so many things that medication is not going to help. So,
I think the other things are all curable, right?
Except for herpes.
And herpes is also curable. It's just like goes on and off. Some people, they pop up, they say like, oh, that's why you have to have a fixed like partner for this kind of thing. You cannot just fuck around everything. I think that comment was so ignorant, like so stupid. Because some people, they were just unlucky. I met a virgin. She just had sex with a guy like first time. She was diagnosed as HIV positive. And some people they don't wear a condom. They just have free sex.
Yeah.
And it was just lucky. They never just get it.
Yeah.
It totally depends on the coincidence. Probability.
There's a lot of unluckiness that comes into it, but I also want to make sure that people know that they can empower themselves. They can make sure to use a condom every time.
Yeah.
They can take PrEP. There are things that you can do, but if you're just going to be reckless and think, oh, it doesn't matter this time, you are literally playing Russian roulette.
But a lot of people, they don't know PrEP. But when I'm taking PrEP, I don't use condom.
Ah, really?
Yeah.
If you're in with one partner, or with multiple?
Multiple.
Oh, that's risky.
I already got herpes, so it's fine for me. So.
That's risky. That's risky.
But the herpes is always come and off, and sometimes I use herpes as like a forecasting of my immunity. Like when they say immunity goes low, your herpes will pop up.
That's when it shows up. Yeah.
If you go outside maybe for 1,000 times, maybe you will have one chance of harshness. But this HIV thing, that whatever the low probability is, that if you get it, you get it. For you, it's 100%. For the majority, it's like 0.0001%. So you never. I think that's why I never want to put my life on this a risk.
Yeah, it's not worth it. It takes one time.
I also meet people, they don't believe this. They think people
believe what?
They don't believe HIV. They think HIV is the propaganda, it's made up by the medical.
The HIV itself is propaganda.
Yeah, and to scare people, and then it's the same thing. They talk about the COVID, something like that.
It's unfortunate because it's obviously very real. Yeah, it's very real.
I think this is what I see about internet. Internet is you can meet people all kinds. But in your real life, because based on your attitude, based on your circle, based on your education, based on your vibe, you can block someone, you also invite someone in, you know what I mean? So those people who are like kind of like stupid and ignorant and you just, you know, it's like immunity. You just push them away. But if you're if you are in the social media, you should be prepared. Like you're gonna meet people of all kinds.
Yeah.
And that's why when I talk about like, oh, the HIV is not real. It's like a propaganda.
Well,
it's like a conspiracy. I was like, Jesus.
Well, there's so many of the people who are watching this in your audience probably still are not taking advantage of those things, or they just say, oh, it's not
just
real,
hear it, but
or
when
it's
they,
not me, and I think, please, everyone, please just take advantage of what is available in the world today. You know, because people like my sister didn't even have the opportunity.
And sometimes it's easy for them to talk, and sometimes they listen to some advice. But when you push the person, and this is also part of human nature, like when you push them, when you want them, you expect them to take action. It's really hard. It's like listen and talking is like this level, but when coming to the execution level, it's like really low.
And it's hard to watch people not take action, and then we have to remember, you know, we can hope to inspire by sharing our experiences, but we can't make anyone do anything. So I hope that, you know, I was telling you earlier that I've never spoken about this on camera before. You know, I'm happy.
That's why I encourage you to.
Yeah, I'm happy to speak about it. It's not like that. It's not like it's a taboo subject. I've talked to many people about it over the years, but I've never done this on camera before, and this is why I was willing to do it. Yeah. Because I think the more people that know how,
this is also
how very directly it affected a person, a family, you know, then maybe it'll inspire them to be safer.
Maybe you can share us more practical advice about like, if you date a guy, right? And then before coming to the sex part activity, so do you ask the guy to take an HIV test or what?
Me personally, I don't. I mean,
you don't force him.
Well, we don't need to go too personal into, you know, my sex life. But I will say, before I choose to actually sleep with someone, I make sure that we're both tested.
Okay,
That's my own personal choice.
But what if he was lying? You were not afraid he was lying?
Well, I don't give him that opportunity because usually we go together, and I definitely ask to see the test.
Okay, cool. That's smart.
Yeah, because sometimes people do lie. Yeah, and I actually was dating a guy for a bit that actually lied about that. So I just, you know, it's not that big of a deal.
Lied about that? That means that he was HIV positive? He lied that he was negative?
Lied that he had...
He had a test.
Tested.
So he didn't have a test. He just lied to you that he tested and he was negative.
Yeah.
But how did you find out? You wanted to see the
document. When we broke up.
Oh, you broke up.
He admitted that to me. That they had. So that was actually good for me because I thought, okay, from this point moving forward, I have to see the test.
Yeah, you have to.
Now I ask to see it.
Exactly.
And really, anyone that wants to have sex.
That sounds like a COVID certificate you have traveling. Like, see, I'm sex safe.
I mean, really, it's not that big of a deal. It's only a big deal if people make it a big deal. Yeah. You know, if you want to have sex, if you're an adult in this world, you know, you just take the test and you show the results. It's not that big of a deal.
I can share one of my stories. Like, I met a French guy, so yeah, we had sex, like unprotected, but I was thinking I'm gonna give him a test. So when I was asking, he said he would take the test, but after the sex, he said he didn't want to because he was afraid of needle. Then I said, okay, fine, I will take. It's another called PEP, like that, post exposure. So I took PEP. Even it took me around 2,500 baht for that to buy the medicine. I think, I don't want to run any risk of that. Yeah. That's my principle.
It's smart. It's smart. Well, and that's the thing too, is I think a lot of people are really worried about how it'll make the other person feel, or they're worried about being embarrassed about saying it, or that it'll be awkward or whatever. But it doesn't have to be. It can be as simple as, you know, hey, I'm really into you, and you know, the thought of us being together just like sends this.
This is too long for me. Just hey, let me see your HIV. I gotta give you an HIV test and see what's going on.
It can be quicker too, but not as many people are as bold as you and as confident as you. Yeah. So that works for some, but others it can just be like, I'm so excited, you know, that we're gonna be together, you know, so that we both feel safe and we can just enjoy this. why don't we go take a test together?
Yeah.
You know, it can be that simple.
Yeah.
You know?
Cool. That's a nice conversation for today. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Okay. Job's done.